Have you ever laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, your mind racing through thoughts that refuse to let you rest? Maybe it's the echoes of past regrets, the endless to-do lists, or the quiet but persistent worries about tomorrow. No matter how tired you feel, sleep remains just out of reach. And the more you try to force it, the harder it becomes. You're not alone. Millions struggle with sleepless nights, trapped in a frustrating cycle of exhaustion. The body begs for rest, but the mind refuses to cooperate. We search for solutions: sleeping pills, white noise machines, late-night distractions, yet nothing seems to work long-term. But what if the answer isn't in doing more, but in letting go? What if deep restorative sleep isn't something to chase, but something to welcome? Buddhism teaches that peace is not found in the absence of problems, but in our ability to release them. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." This wisdom applies not only to our waking lives, but also to the way we sleep. So tonight, instead of struggling against restlessness, let's take a different path. A path of stillness, presence, and mindfulness. A journey into ancient Buddhist techniques that gently quiet the mind, relax the body, and allow sleep to come naturally. Take a deep breath. Let go of the day, and let's begin. Chapter 1. Understanding why we struggle to sleep. Before we explore the solutions, we must first understand the problem. Why do so many people, especially as they grow older, struggle with sleep? The Buddha spoke of attachment and craving as sources of suffering. We often think of attachment in terms of material possessions or relationships. But what about our attachment to thoughts? The endless replay of regrets, anxieties, and expectations becomes a chain that binds the mind, keeping it restless and unsettled. Like waves in an ocean that never cease, these thoughts rise and fall, crashing against the shores of our consciousness, preventing us from truly resting. There is an old Buddhist story about a farmer who came to the Buddha, complaining about his sleepless nights. "My crops are struggling. My son does not listen to me. My wife worries too much," he lamented. "I cannot sleep because I have so many problems." The Buddha listened and then replied, "I cannot take your problems away, but I can help you see them differently. Life will always have 83 problems, and when you solve one, another will take its place. The key is learning not to suffer over them." This simple truth holds immense power. The farmer, like many of us, was caught in the illusion that peace could only be achieved if every problem in life was solved. But life is inherently unpredictable. There will always be concerns: our health, our families, the state of the world. The more we try to control everything, the more restless we become. Think of an elderly woman named Margaret. For years she struggled with sleep, unable to quiet her mind. Every night as soon as she lay down, her thoughts would begin racing. Did I forget to pay that bill? Is my grandson doing well in school? What if my health gets worse? The worries would spiral, her mind latching onto one thought, then another, pulling her further from rest. One evening, Margaret's friend, a retired teacher, shared a simple yet profound insight. Your mind is like a cup of water, constantly stirred by worry. The more you agitate it, the cloudier it becomes. But if you sit still and let it rest, clarity returns. Margaret took this to heart and began practicing a nightly ritual. She would sit quietly, take a deep breath, and remind herself, "Tonight, I do not need to solve everything. The world will still be here tomorrow." Over time, she found that releasing control allowed her mind to settle, like still water, reflecting the moon. Sleep is often elusive because we hold on to our daytime worries, even as we lay in bed. Our minds resist stillness, clinging to fears, responsibilities, and the illusion of control. But peace does not come from fixing everything. It comes from changing our relationship with our thoughts. Instead of battling worries, we can acknowledge them, observe them, and then let them pass, like leaves floating down a stream. So, as you prepare for sleep tonight, ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I can set down, even for now? The answer may surprise you, and in that small act of letting go, you may find the doorway to rest waiting for you, open and inviting. Chapter 2. The Power of Letting Go. A monk once asked his teacher, "Master, how do you sleep so soundly every night?" The teacher smiled and said, "Before bed, I take off my robe and fold it neatly. I do the same with my thoughts." This simple response carries a profound lesson. Letting go is not about ignoring or escaping problems. It is about acknowledging them without letting them consume us. Just as we wouldn't carry a heavy bag to bed, why do we carry the weight of worries? Why do we allow unresolved thoughts to tangle in our minds, preventing us from drifting into peaceful rest? Imagine an elderly woman named Eleanor. Every night, as she lay in bed, her mind would spiral into the same loop of worries. Did I say the wrong thing to my daughter today? What if my health worsens? Will I be a burden to my family? The thoughts would pile up like unopened letters, demanding her attention. The more she tried to push them away, the louder they became. Sleep, once effortless in her youth, had become a distant memory. One evening, Eleanor's friend, a retired Buddhist practitioner, introduced her to the practice of letting go before sleep. "Eleanor," she said, "your worries are like guests at a tea house. Some come and go quietly, while others overstay their welcome. But you are the host. You decide which guests to entertain." That night, Eleanor tried something new. She sat at her bedside with a notebook and began writing down every thought that weighed on her mind. Instead of keeping them locked inside, she placed them onto paper, giving them form, acknowledging them without attachment. When she finished, she whispered to herself, "I will return to these tomorrow, but tonight, I choose to rest." Then she closed the notebook, symbolically closing the door to those thoughts for the night. To her surprise, she fell asleep faster than she had in years. Letting go does not mean we dismiss our concerns or pretend they don't exist. It means we stop carrying them with us at all times. We trust that the world will continue to turn, that tomorrow will bring new opportunities to face our challenges, and that for now, just for now, we are allowed to rest. A simple ritual to release the day. Many Buddhist traditions teach small, meaningful rituals to help the mind transition from wakefulness to rest. Here are a few powerful ways to practice letting go before bed. 1. Write down your thoughts. Take a few minutes to put your worries on paper, not as a way to dwell on them, but as a way to release them. This tells the mind, "I acknowledge you, but you do not need to follow me into sleep." 2. The floating lantern visualization. Close your eyes and imagine placing each worry into a floating paper lantern. Watch it drift down a calm river, gently moving further away. This mental image helps reinforce the idea that we are not our thoughts. We can observe them, release them, and let them pass. 3. A letting go mantra. Before bed, repeat a phrase that signals to your body and mind that it is time to rest. Try one of these: I release this day. I welcome peace. I have done enough. Now I rest. I let go of what was. I embrace what is. These small but powerful acts train the mind to loosen its grip on control. When we practice them consistently, we rewire our brains to associate nighttime with peace, rather than unresolved thoughts. The wisdom of an empty cup. A Zen master once held up a cup of tea and asked his student, "If the cup is already full, how can I pour more into it?" The student thought for a moment, then replied, "You must first empty it. Sleep is much the same. If our minds are full, overflowing with worries, fears, and to-do lists, there is no room for rest. But when we empty the cup, even just a little, we create space for stillness." So tonight, before you close your eyes, ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I can set down just for now? Whatever it is, trust that it will be there in the morning. But tonight, you deserve to rest. Let go, breathe deeply, and allow sleep to find you. Chapter 3. The breath as a gateway to sleep. In Buddhist practice, the breath is everything. It is the anchor to the present moment, the bridge between wakefulness and deep rest. Many monks use mindful breathing not only to meditate, but also as a tool to enter deep, restorative sleep. The breath, though often overlooked, is a sacred rhythm, always with us, always available. But how often do we truly pay attention to it? A Zen master once said, "If you want to control your mind, control your breath. If you want to quiet your thoughts, listen to your breath." This simple yet profound teaching reminds us that the mind and breath are deeply connected. When the breath is hurried and shallow, the mind is restless. When the breath is slow and deep, the mind follows. Take the story of Haruto, a retired craftsman from Kyoto. In his younger years, he spent long hours carving intricate designs into wood, losing himself in the rhythm of his hands. But as he aged, sleep became elusive. His mind, once focused and calm, now wandered relentlessly at night. Thoughts of unfinished tasks, memories of past mistakes, and worries about the future kept him awake. One evening he visited an old friend, a Buddhist monk who had studied meditation for decades. "I have tried everything, herbal teas, warm baths, even counting sheep, but my mind refuses to rest," Haruto confessed. The monk smiled and handed him a small cup of tea. "Drink this," he said. Haruto took a sip, feeling the warmth spread through his body. The monk then asked, "Did you have to think about drinking the tea?" Haruto shook his head. "No, I just did it." "Exactly," the monk replied. "Breathing is the same. You do not need to force sleep. You simply need to return to your breath." That night, Haruto followed his friend's advice. Instead of fighting his thoughts, he focused on the rise and fall of his breath, letting each inhale and exhale guide him into stillness. Slowly, the tension in his body melted away, and for the first time in years, sleep came effortlessly. A simple breathing practice for deep sleep. Try this tonight. 1. Close your eyes and place one hand on your chest, the other on your belly. Feel where your breath naturally moves. 2. Take a deep inhale through your nose, counting to 4. Feel your belly expand, like filling a balloon. 3. Exhale slowly, counting to 6, feeling tension melt away. Imagine releasing all the worries of the day with each breath out. 4. With each breath, silently repeat, "I am here." On the inhale, "I am safe." On the exhale, "I am at peace." As you let go, this method signals to the nervous system that it is time to rest, shifting from anxiety to calmness, like a still lake reflecting the moon. When the breath slows, the mind follows. Why this works? From a scientific perspective, slow breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which tells the body it is safe. It lowers the heart rate, reduces blood pressure, and creates the perfect conditions for sleep. But from a Buddhist perspective, breathing mindfully is more than a relaxation technique. It is a way of returning to the present, releasing attachment to the past or future. It reminds us that in this moment, all is well. So tonight, instead of chasing sleep, let it find you. Trust that your breath will lead the way. Chapter 4. The Mindfulness Body Scan for Deep Relaxation. A wandering mind cannot sleep. But what if, instead of fighting it, we gently guided it to peace? What if, instead of struggling against restlessness, we simply allowed our bodies to soften, our breath to deepen, and our awareness to settle into the present moment? The mindfulness body scan is a powerful Buddhist technique designed to relax the body, quiet the mind, and ease into sleep effortlessly. It is not about forcing sleep, but about creating the right conditions for it, just as a still pond naturally reflects the moon. A calm body invites restful slumber. A story of letting go through the body. An elderly man named Robert had struggled with sleep for years. He had tried everything: warm milk, sleep medication, even counting sheep. But nothing seemed to quiet the relentless chatter in his mind. Each night, as he lay in bed, memories from his past would surface, regrets would whisper in his ears, and fears of the future would tighten in his chest. One evening, he visited a meditation teacher in his town. "My mind refuses to settle," Robert admitted. "Even when I try to sleep, my thoughts race like a river after a storm." The teacher smiled and handed Robert a cup of tea. "Feel the warmth in your hands," he said. "Feel the weight of the cup. Notice the steam rising. Drink slowly, and with each sip, allow yourself to be fully present." As Robert followed the instructions, something unexpected happened. His mind, which had been racing just moments before, began to slow. His breathing deepened, his shoulders relaxed. The simple act of bringing awareness to his senses had begun to settle his restless mind. The teacher placed a hand on Robert's arm and said, "The body is always in the present, but the mind likes to wander. To sleep peacefully, we must invite the mind back into the body." That night, Robert tried something new. Instead of fighting his thoughts, he focused on feeling each part of his body, softening into relaxation, one breath at a time. And for the first time in years, he drifted into deep, uninterrupted sleep, guiding the body into stillness. The mindfulness body scan. Before sleep, find a comfortable position. Let your hands rest gently at your sides. Close your eyes. Now, take a slow, deep breath in and exhale fully. Begin to bring your awareness to different parts of your body, one by one. Bring awareness to your feet. Notice any tension or tingling. Let them soften, as if sinking into a warm pool of water. 2. Move up to your legs. Feel the muscles loosen. Release any tightness in your calves and thighs. 3. Shift attention to your abdomen. Let go of any tension you're holding there. Feel your breath moving freely. 4. Focus on your hands and arms. Unclench your fists. Let your shoulders drop, releasing the weight of the day. 5. Bring awareness to your face. Relax your jaw. Soften your forehead. Allow your eyes to rest. 6. Finally, reach the top of your head. Imagine a wave of relaxation flowing over your entire body, like a warm breeze sweeping across a quiet landscape. By the time you complete this practice, sleep will be waiting for you. Why this works? The mindfulness body scan is a bridge between wakefulness and deep rest. It trains the mind to focus on bodily sensations instead of spiraling into thoughts. In Buddhism, this is called grounding in the present. When we bring attention to our bodies, we return to the here and now, the only place where peace can be found. With practice, this technique becomes an effortless path to sleep, a gentle way to remind both the mind and body that it is safe to let go. Tonight, before you close your eyes, ask yourself, can I allow my body to rest without needing to fix or change anything? If the answer is yes, then sleep is already on its way. Chapter 5. Embracing sleep as a spiritual practice. In Buddhism, sleep is not wasted time. It is sacred rest. Just as a candle cannot burn endlessly, we too must renew our energy. Sleep is not merely a function of the body. It is a spiritual practice, an opportunity to surrender, to restore, and to awaken anew. There is a Zen story about a young monk who struggled with exhaustion. Every night, he would force himself to stay awake, convinced that meditating longer would bring him closer to enlightenment. His teacher noticed his fatigue and said, "A bowstring pulled too tight will break. A bowstring too loose will not play. The key is balance." The monk realized that pushing himself beyond his limits was not a path to wisdom. It was a path to depletion. The Buddha taught, "Rest your body, rest your mind. When you wake, begin anew." Sleep is a time when both the physical body and the spirit can heal. It is not an obstacle to productivity, nor is it an indulgence. It is an essential act of self-care, a gift we offer ourselves each night. Reframing sleep from struggle to surrender. Many of us have been conditioned to see sleep as something to conquer. We say, "I need to fall asleep now. Why can't I sleep? If I don't sleep, tomorrow will be ruined." These thoughts create resistance. The more we force sleep, the more elusive it becomes. But what if we approached sleep the way a monk approaches meditation, with patience, gentleness, and trust? Instead of chasing sleep, we can invite it. Instead of battling insomnia, we can surrender to rest. Think of an elderly woman named Maria. For decades she had lived by the clock, waking early, working tirelessly, always moving. But now, in her later years, she found herself lying awake at night, unable to quiet her thoughts. One evening, she sat outside under the moonlight and remembered something her grandmother once told her. The moon does not rush to rise. The sun does not hurry to set. Yet, they are always on time. That night, Maria tried something different. Instead of demanding sleep, she welcomed it like an old friend. She whispered to herself, "I trust. My body knows how to rest." She allowed herself to simply be, without expectation. Slowly, her breath deepened, her muscles softened, and she drifted into sleep, not through force, but through surrender. Setting an intention for restful sleep. Before sleep, set an intention, just as you would before meditation. A simple phrase can shift the mind from worry to trust. Tonight, I offer my body deep rest. May I wake with clarity and peace. I release this day with gratitude. Tomorrow will unfold as it should. I surrender to the rhythm of nature. My rest is part of the flow of life. These intentions act as a bridge, gently guiding the mind from activity to stillness, from effort to ease. The practice of waking mindfully. Buddhists view each morning as a new beginning. Instead of waking up and immediately reaching for distractions, what if we paused? What if we treated the first breath of the day as sacred? In the monasteries of Thailand, monks begin each morning by reciting a simple verse. "I am alive today. This is a gift. May I live with wisdom and kindness." What if, before getting out of bed, we whispered to ourselves, "I have been given another day. May I move through it with peace. I am grateful for this body that carries me. May my actions today bring joy to myself and others." By embracing sleep as a spiritual act, we let go of struggle and invite tranquility, not just at night, but in the way we wake, the way we move, and the way we experience life itself. Tonight, as you close your eyes, remember, you are not failing if sleep does not come instantly. You are simply practicing the art of rest, and with each night, that practice becomes a little easier. Conclusion. Awakening to a new way of sleeping. Tonight, as you lay your head down, remember, sleep is not something to chase. It is something to welcome. Like the tide returning to shore, it comes naturally when we stop resisting, when we soften into the present moment. Let go of the burdens of the day, breathe deeply, and allow stillness to cradle you. Ask yourself, What can you release tonight to invite peace? A lingering worry, an expectation that no longer serves you, the need to control something beyond your reach. Each night is an opportunity to practice surrender, to trust that life will continue unfolding, with or without our grasp. Sleep is more than closing your eyes. It is an act of faith, a moment of surrender, a doorway to renewal. It is the body's way of restoring itself, the mind's way of clearing space, and the soul's way of returning home. So tonight, give yourself permission to rest. Breathe in peace, exhale tension, let sleep find you. And when the morning sun rises, greet the new day, not with worry, but with gratitude for another chance to live fully, love deeply, and walk this path with presence. May you find peace in stillness, comfort in simplicity, and the deepest sleep you have ever known. If this wisdom resonates with you, join us on this journey. Subscribe to Quiet Wisdom for more reflections on mindful living. And as you drift into sleep tonight, know that you are not alone. You are held in the gentle rhythm of life itself. Good night, and may your rest be truly peaceful.